So the monitor gave you orders to JRB Fort Worth. Well, in this video, we're going to let you know everything about Westworth Village, a small sister city right outside the main gate. And if you stick around to the end, we're going to let you know about the top of the line neighborhood just down the street from the base. Hey there everyone, welcome to the channel. My name's Jack Lisenby, and together with Tom Jung, we are your local DFW real estate agents. We get calls every day from folks just like you looking to buy or sell their homes. So whether you're a few days or a few months out from your move, go ahead and reach out. We've got a link in the description where you can schedule a Zoom call with us at your leisure. And while you're down there, go ahead and like the video and subscribe if you're not already. And if you're really cool, you're going to go ahead and leave a comment and let us know where you're PCSing from if you're with the military, or where you're moving from if you're a friend or family. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and just jump right into it and ask, what is Westworth Village? Well, contrary to its name, it's actually a city, but it's inside of Fort Worth. So kind of like how the Vatican is a country inside of a country, Westworth Village is a city inside of a city. So you've got your own city hall, trash service, tax rates, things like that, but you're inside of Fort Worth. Now, Westworth Village itself is pretty suburban. You have one main road that goes through it and some small arterial roads that branch off of that. The main road is River Oaks Drive, and the vast majority of it is just residential housing. You do have like a couple of shops and stuff outside of the gate, outside of the base gate, but the rest of it is just going to be like neighborhoods and things like that. And for any non-military people who may be watching the video, we're going to throw around the term JRB a lot. And all that stands for is Joint Reserve Base. It's the nickname that we give to the military base here in Fort Worth, which is mostly just for like reserve military individuals to go do their training. That being said, the vast majority of people that live in Westworth Village are military members. You have prior military individuals who retire and then just make a life there. You have active military who are there to service the base. You have reserve military that are there because they have to be close for training. And then you obviously have like a lot of family members that move there with the military individuals as well. But actually the bulk of people who live in Westworth Village are still Fort Worth natives. So you kind of get Fort Worth with like a flavoring of military as opposed to military with a flavoring of Fort Worth. All right, so where is Westworth Village? So we've got it here pulled up on Google Maps, and as you can see, it's right off of the 183, which is that road I was telling you about that becomes River Oaks Boulevard here, as you can see. We're going to go ahead and zoom out. As you can see, we've got White Settlement, Westover Hills, some surrounding cities inside of Fort Worth as well. We've got videos on those, go check them out. But it's actually, Westworth Village is actually due west of the Fort Worth City Center. So if you're trying to make it to downtown, you just head east. It'll take you about 10 to 15 minutes depending on traffic. Now, zooming out a little further, as you can see to the west here, we've got Weatherford. And if you take the I-20, which eventually becomes the I-30, it'll take you about half an hour heading out that direction before you hit the city center. Now, on the rest of the map over here, you can see we've got Arlington, which is about half an hour away if you head east. And then if you keep going, Dallas is about 45 minutes away from Westworth Village. Now, if you fly a lot or you need to get to the international airport, it's just right up here at the top center of the DFW area, and it's about a 35-minute drive from the Westworth Village area. But you're in an actually really good location because as you can see here, just to the south of Westworth Village, you have I-30, which is this main road that goes right through the center of Fort Worth, connects to Arlington, Dallas, and all of that. And then just to the west, you've got the 820, which is the loop here that goes all the way around the outside of the city, and again connects to several main roads. So you're actually in a very good position to get to everywhere you need to in the Metroplex. So maybe you got orders to JRB and you're salty that you didn't get Miramar or Quantico. Well, don't worry, there's still plenty of things to do. And I know there's plenty of people who are moving to the area also just thinking, well, what is there to do in Westworth Village proper? There's actually a ton. For how small the city is, you actually have quite a few things that are part of Westworth Village itself. The biggest one I would say, if you're a military person, you have all the on-base access, that's great. Plenty of stuff to do there. But in the city itself, you have Melva Campbell Park. And even if you do have access to the base, I would highly suggest you go check this out because it's right next to the city hall, which means they have the police dispatch there and the courthouse and everything. It's going to be a really safe space. You have this nice big covered patio area with a ton of picnic benches, which they said can actually be rented out, so you can lease that space for events and things like that. The park itself was actually recently remodeled, and it is in great shape. I went there a couple of weeks ago as of recording this video, and all new equipment. It's a really big open green space. It's secluded, so you've got trees all around it. You don't have to worry about like a ton of people and everything. All in all, just a really good park. They put a ton of money, time, and effort into this. I would highly suggest it. If you're of the hiking variety, there's also a ton of trails. You've got the Westworth Village trails, which are a branch of the Trinity Trails. The Trinity Trails is a huge trail network all across DFW. It spans literally hundreds of miles, and Westworth Village has its own little fork of the Trinity Trails, which is several, I want to say it's 15 to 20 miles long in total. And then a lot of the neighborhoods themselves also have individual trails. So if you're an outdoors person, plenty of opportunities for you guys, I promise. If you're looking for something a little more nature-esque, then there's actually the Airfield Falls Conservation Park, which is a green space over by the base itself that has a small tributary from the Trinity River, which is the main water source here in Fort Worth. It's a big river that flows through, has a ton of estuaries in the Metroplex, but one of those actually lands in Westworth Village, and they've kind of blocked it off as like a natural reserve park, and it's actually really pretty. I would definitely go check that out. And if you're a golf nut, Westworth Village has its own golf course. The Hawk Creek Golf Club is right there. It's just to the west of Westworth Village, or it's just on the west side of Westworth Village, just to the west of the base. And if that's not scratching the itch for you, like I said, Fort Worth has a ton of stuff to do. Good Lord, God knows how many golf courses we have. So if that one's just not enough, there's plenty to choose from. So maybe you're moving to Westworth Village with kiddos and you're like, what am I going to do about school? Well, don't worry, we got you covered there as well. So Westworth Village actually falls under Fort Worth ISD. It doesn't have its own school district, so it just uses Fort Worth's. And Fort Worth ISD, it's okay. I will say it's about average, which I know for some people is just kind of, it's fine. And for other people, they really want the best for their kids. So if that's something that's really important to you, we'll touch on that a little bit later, so don't worry. But the Fort Worth ISD as a whole is B- rated. And by the way, we get all of our school data from niche.com. So if you'd like to do a little bit more research on it, feel free to go there, take a look at it yourself. So the ISD as a whole is rated B- according to Niche. The elementary school that they have there is actually serviced by Burton Hill Elementary School, which is actually A- rated, which is pretty decent for the Fort Worth area for the public schools. The middle school over there is going to be Stripling Middle School, which is B- rated. And then lastly, you have Arlington Heights High School, which is actually B rated as well. It's a little bit further away. I know it says Arlington Heights, but it is in Fort Worth. It's right there off of the 30, closer to the city center. So it's going to be about 7 to 10 minutes away. Now, if the public school thing just isn't for you and you've got a little bit of cash to throw at the problem, I would highly suggest looking at some of the charter schools that are popping up around Fort Worth, because that has been a hot debate in the Fort Worth school district, because the school district itself is so mid. There is a growing demand for private schooling, and these charter schools are blowing it out of the water. So if education is something that's really important to you, I would suggest go take a look at some of those as well. So we touched on shopping a little bit earlier, and I want to dive into it a little bit more, because those shopping outlets are actually really big, but like some of the bigger ones like Target and Walmart and all that may not necessarily be exactly what you're looking for. I would like to say that Fort Worth is a cultural hub. So Westworth Village by proxy is also a cultural hub, and I want to introduce you to some things that may be a little bit off palette for you. Because Westworth Village has a ton to offer, honestly, for how small it is. And as far as shopping goes, if you just head to the west a little bit, there's a mall over there. I know, malls, they still exist. Ridgemar Mall is one of the bigger ones here in Fort Worth. It is a quiet little mall. A lot of the shops have closed down, but it's still going strong. All in all, you've got like your Dillard's, JCPenney, the regulars, and a bunch of small little boutique style shops that started moving in there as well. So you're going to get a glut of different mom and pop things throughout Westworth Village as a whole, but here as well, because we also have one of the larger flea markets in Fort Worth here in Westworth Village as well, the Cattle Barn Flea Market. It's a little outdoor flea market, well, semi-outdoor flea market. So you get all kinds of crazy characters and cool experiences there as well. But like I said, most of your shops outside of the large outlet buildings are going to be your mom and pops. There are quite a few things, like we have a crumble cookie. We've got like purple mattress. So you still got like a lot of those big name brands as well, just right there, ready next to the base, like literally within 5 minutes of the base entrance. And on top of that, you also have a lot of smaller no-name hole in the walls that give you a chance to go and discover what Fort Worth is really like. Most of your dining is going to be fast food because you do have a lot of people from the base that go off of base to find something to eat, and they only get like maybe half a minute or half an hour to an hour. They got to be in and out pretty quick, but they also have a small amount of like sit down things. Like I think there's a Madelines and some other small little breakfast style bistros and whatnot. There's also a couple of higher end dining areas. I would say probably some of the better areas to go take a look at. If you have not tried it, go check out Haim's Barbecue. Really good reviews. Josefina's Mexican, which is decent as well. It's like a Mexican cuisine area. Italiano's is okay. It's just a general Italian restaurant. And then lastly, the one that I suggest every person go check out, military or otherwise, is McFly's Pub. We had touched on this in another video. It was our hidden gems. Is one of our hidden gems for a different video that we did. But this place was my trainer actually introduced me to this, and it's like that hole in the wall. It's like Cheers. Everyone knows each other. It's strictly a pub, like not a gastropub. They don't serve food or anything like that. It's just beer. People go to there to hang out. It's a typical watering hole. It's one of those third spaces that just seem to be going away in this day and age, but this one is great. Has a small town feel. It will introduce you to all sorts of fun characters as well. I highly suggest you go check this out whenever you have the opportunity. All right, so I finally convinced you and you're moving to Westworth Village. Well, let's take a look at some of the housing options if that's something that you're actually considering. Now, most of the houses in Westworth Village are going to be your typical single family home. So like a detached house sitting on its own lot. That's going to be the vast majority of things there. But you do have some options. Maybe that's not your cup of tea. So I actually want to start off with some of the townhomes because there are a couple of neighborhoods in that area where those are becoming a little bit more popular. So the townhomes over there are going to run you between $400,000 to $600,000. They're 3 to 4 beds, 2 to 4 bathrooms. So they're pretty standard size units that sit on a very small lot. So I'm talking like 0.05 acres. So if you don't like doing yard work, these are the places to go. It's something big enough for your dog to go out and do his business, come back inside, and then, chill out for the rest of the day. And they're all going to be like more modern architecture style because they didn't really start building townhomes around Westworth Village until about 2004. So that's the oldest style of building that you're going to find. And they're actually still building to this day. The most recent one I found that sold was back in 2022. So as of recording this, it's 2023. They're more than likely going to keep building townhomes. So if that's something that you're interested in, it is a good option and up and coming. Now, as far as the single family homes themselves go, most of those are actually going to be on the cheaper side for Fort Worth. So Tarrant County average starting price for a home is about $320,000 right now as of recording this video. And some of the houses in Westworth Village are still going on the market to this day in the $200,000 mark, which is becoming increasingly difficult to find in this area. So you're going to have some houses in the low twos all the way up to like $1.3 million in some cases. There's a very broad stretch of available housing in such a small area. Most of your houses are going to be like 2 or 3 bedrooms, but some of them go all the way up to 5 if you need extra space for kids. Even some of the cheaper options, because we do have some older architecture here as well, because Westworth Village, most of the houses were actually built originally back in the early mid 50s all the way up to like 80s and 90s, and then there was another resurgence and everything back in the 2000s. So you have a lot of last century architecture juxtaposed to like modern architecture as well. Some of these houses, most of them are going to be on smaller lots, so you're looking at like 1/6 of an acre up to 1/4 acre. And the architecture, like I said, is you've got I think we call them ranch style houses, the big wide single story houses, and you also have like the tall skinny multi-story houses as well. So no matter what you're looking for in this area, there's going to be something, even for how small the city itself is. And some of you guys are laughing at me like, oh, look at Mr. Moneybags, he can afford a house in this economy. Well, if you're looking for apartments, there's still plenty of those as well. Like I said, you're right next to a military base. So this is going to be some shorter term housing options, especially for people who are moving there just for like one duty station before they go somewhere else. So the apartments themselves are going to be between like $1,000 to $3,000 a month, depending on what size unit you're looking for. There's a couple that dip below that $1,000 a month mark, but the vast majority of them, plus your rentals, are going to be closer to 1,500 to 1,800 for something smaller, maybe closer to 2,000 on average. Just in Fort Worth as a whole, but also in Westworth Village. They're going to be something between 1 to 3 bedrooms, 1 to 2 bath, and your square footage is going to vary wildly. There's some as small as like 600 square feet, and I've seen some apartments that get as big as almost 2,000. So if you need space and you just don't need a mortgage, there's also options for that. Now, one of the great things about Westworth Village is, even though it is its own city and it does have its own utilities and everything like that, it has a lower tax rate because it gets to lean on a lot of what Fort Worth has already established for its infrastructure. So Fort Worth property tax rate is about 2.6%, maybe a little bit less than that right now. But the Westworth Village property tax rate, if you are looking to buy in the city, is only like 2.36 right now as of 2022. I haven't been able to get the numbers for 2023, but as far as I know, they don't change often in Westworth Village either. So there's not like an annual jump where they increase the tax rate every year. They've actually been pretty good about keeping it low, and I believe a few years ago they actually dropped it a significant amount. So they're doing good administratively as well, if that's something that you're concerned with, because I know some city halls can keep, or some town halls and city halls can be a bit of a crapshoot when it comes to their government. Westworth Village actually has their head on straight. All right, guys, at this point, you probably know more about Westworth Village than some of the locals do. And since you stuck around to the end of the video, we got a bit of a treat for you. So there's actually a hidden gem of a neighborhood called Westworth Falls right there in Westworth Village. It's a gated community. I know, gated community in Westworth Village is unheard of, but it's right there. It's about 3 minutes from the main gate, right where White Settlement Boulevard splits off from 183 and turns into River Oaks Boulevard. If you make a left there at that little triangle, you'll see the gates there on the side of the road. It's a beautiful community. It's actually a new home community that was built and developed by Shattuck, which is a home builder here, and they do a great job. Great materials, great floor plans, beautiful houses, and they do a phenomenal job staging their model home. Highly suggest you go check it out if you get a chance. They also partnered with Ramsey and Shaw, which is a smaller builder here in Fort Worth, to help fill out some of the smaller lots. So maybe Shattuck just isn't your style. You can partner with Ramsey and Shaw and get something built that way. And if you're looking for a good representative for a transaction like that, go ahead and hit us up. We got you. But the community itself is actually, it's a smaller neighborhood. It's about 70 lots or something. So big enough that you're not going to hear people on the other side of the neighborhood or anything crazy, but small enough that it's like everyone should bump into each other from time to time. It's like a everyone knows their neighbor kind of thing. It's really cool because the houses, like I said, they're beautiful. The streets, there's no through traffic or anything like that, and it's gated. So you're not going to have to worry about a ton of traffic coming in and out of there for anything except people that live there. They have their own trails, actually. Like I said earlier, how some of the neighborhoods have their own trails. This one has their own. It's this nice little, it's not paved or anything like that. It's like a dirt trail. They put like gravel and small particulates and stuff on it. But it feels very woodsy and still manicured at the same time. And the trail actually goes through a little park that they have over in the corner there. The park's a little sparse. It has some nice trees and things like that, but not a ton of equipment or anything for the kids, just a couple of small things, but it has some benches, a nice open green space where you can go take the friends, throw around the pigskin, whatever you want to do. And on top of that, honestly, it's just a very well-maintained neighborhood. I know it's newer, but you can tell because it has an HOA. It's going to be taken care of. Your investment's going to be safe in a place like this. But it's also, they know that they're next to a military base and all this other stuff. So they do what they can to make sure that everything stays beautiful, everything stays prim and proper. And I have a good feeling that this community is going to stay that way for a good long time. So if that's something that's really important to you, like the aesthetics and the general demeanor and well taken care ofness of your neighborhood is something that you strive for, I would highly suggest you go check out Westworth Falls because it would definitely be worth your time. All right, guys, well, that's all I have for you today. I appreciate you watching the video. Go ahead and leave a like and a comment. And if you're not already, go ahead and subscribe because it helps out us, helps out our channel, and lets us know what you're interested in. But as always, if you're looking to buy or sell, remember to keep calm. Call Tom.